Okay, so you were literally born into this.
I got a job as a head designer at 19 years old. And I would lie about my age to my coworkers, but not to my boss.
How would you get through that? Because you still very much are in a space that doesn't represent us.
And I remember going to the restaurant and all the workers were Latino and all the faces are not. For me, it's just like, come on guys, like we could own these things. That was like the hardest time in my life, like ever. So my dad died in COVID. Financially, we were able to do other things, but that doesn't matter like when you lose your family. Since then, Bridal has been like the biggest business, people flying from everywhere to see me. And I know that it's special.
Hi everybody, welcome to Empowered with Gina. Today is a very fashion forward conversation with a founder, a fashionista, and somebody leading the charge in fashion and style, Miss Johana Hernandez Hutton, founder of GLAUDI Bridal.
Hey friends, well thank you for having me, Gina. We were trying to hold us for not talking before this interview, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to you. It's so nice to see everything you're doing too.
Thank you. We have so many mutual friends and we're finally virtually connected. We've not ever met personally. We will now.
Yeah.
And so thank you for the time. So I want to jump in because I know I have so many questions for you. I always start by asking my guests 3 adjectives to describe yourself, please.
Happy, blessed, and joyful. I mean, that's the same thing, but
It's
yeah.
okay. It's fine. It works. So let's back all the way up. Before you were this world-renowned fashion designer and business owner, who was Johana the little girl? Where did you grow up? And did you have dreams to be in the fashion
Yeah.
industry?
Yeah, so it's so great how God does things because you're from your humble beginnings, he could be setting you up for like where you need to go. For instance, when I was a kid, I grew up seeing my parents work in factories here in the US when everything was made in America. They used to do sew for Levi's, Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger. So I used to be in those factories watching them, especially on the weekends, watching them like sew, and I would ask so many questions and I would be so intrigued of what they're doing. And there's a lot of seamstresses and they were all Latino, mainly, literally like all Latino.
Yeah.
But the owners of the factories were never Latino. And I noticed that as a kid, and all the sewers were so happy, but then like when like the people would come of other ethnicities to check on them, that they would be seen as ghosts. Like they weren't even looked in the eyes. Like they were just like another number.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? Like, what is this? So at 8 years old, I remember saying, one day I will have a brand that's like represents a Latina, but it's for everyone because my team is like diverse.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm a Latina. And that's why I named my brand GLAUDI after my mom Gladys and my middle name Gladys to share that story that I came from humble beginnings. And I love that my mom, like, she was never seen, but now she is because she's the one that inspired the name GLAUDI.
Okay, so you were literally born into this.
Yes, like I was like the movie Coco from Disney, but I actually wanted to do this. But the thing is, like, I never thought, like, as a Latina, I could be a designer because I never saw anyone that represented me. Of course, there's like Oscar de la Renta or Carolina Herrera, but they came from like affluent backgrounds and they were in the like those circles where like they were dressing royalty and all these things that I wasn't part of. Like, I grew up in Compton. Now I work with Serena Williams too, who grew up in Compton too. So like everything that I was born with was like, some people would be like, oh my gosh, like that I would never be successful, but it's actually what made me like shine because every time I shared my story or I shared like what I did, like I got a job as a head designer at 19 years old when I was at FITM. Before my first quarter ended, I went to an internship. I thought I was gonna be an intern. I thought I was gonna get paid and I was just so excited to get my foot in there. My other friend didn't go to it because she said, oh, I don't want to do that. And then I got hired as the head designer of the company, my
No.
first collection journal. And then I was on Bravo. Like my collection was everywhere. They sent me to Asia. They sent me everywhere. I was like 19. I would lie about my age to like coworkers, but not to my boss. But like the point of the story is like if my parents wouldn't have shown me all those little things they like did while sewing when I was little, like I wouldn't be able to design for those companies. And then after that, I was the head designer for 7 Jeans for 7 years. I designed for DKNY and I did for Express, like all these big brands before I started mine.
Okay, so for someone listening out there who says, wow, I've always wanted to get into whatever the industry is, and they're listening to
Yeah.
you didn't have connections. I mean, you had the
No.
experience and like the, what do
No,
they
there was
call
no
it?
connections. Just God connections.
You know?
Like God.
And your
Prayer.
parents, and not to discount at all your parents' experience, because that was education, non-traditional education that you
Yeah.
got. You know, it wasn't schooling per se. It wasn't
It's better than fashion school because you're like learn how to make things and how it works. And I was in the factory, so I know how to build a team without even like thinking. Like when you go to fashion school, they teach you off of books and videos and things, but like I literally was in there, so like I know how to run a business.
How important was education? Did your family stress that to you, like traditional schooling education?
Yeah. I mean, I was always, yeah, they always did. My brothers were really smarter than me. They're much smarter than me. But I was always really like, for instance, when I was in high school, like I would go to high school and I loved going to school, but not for like the class, but like to dress up every day. But anyways, but after I would go to acting school,
Uh-huh.
and then my mom put me in acting school and model school. I was never a model. They just took her money. Let me tell you,
Oh,
those places, yeah. But it was fun. But it was fun.
yeah.
But anyways, but the point is, I went to acting school, model school, and then I went to beauty school because it was like an ROP program. So my parents were just
What's the
letting me
ROP?
flourish and whatever. Oh, ROP is like a program they had back. I graduated 2004. They had a program where like they get you ready for whatever career you want. So you could go into banking or you could be a nurse or a doctor, and you go to those jobs while you're in high school. Like you
Okay.
leave like at 1 p.m. and go to those
Hmm.
jobs to like help them. So I went to beauty school. So at 1 I leave high school and then I would go to beauty school and leave at like 7, and then I would do my homework and blah blah. So I was always like creative, and the cool thing is my parents like never stopped me, and they never like stopped believing in what I wanted. Like they're like, oh, you want to be a hairstylist? Okay, go to there. They just like set me up for success without even them knowing. They just
Sure.
loved me so much that they wanted to see me happy. And my brothers were really good in sports and like math and science, and I was just not into that. But
Same.
yeah, like I just feel that that it's just so important to just let your kids like follow what they love.
Absolutely. So then you intern at all, I mean, it sounds like it was so easy for you, but I'm
Yeah, and it
sure
wasn't an internship actually. Remember, like I went for an internship and I got hired as a designer.
crazy. Just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like not even expecting to check. And when I got paid, I was like, "What?"
You're
And my
like,
mom was mad at me.
why?
She's like, "You're working for free." I was like, "Yeah," and then I wasn't, and it was so funny because I was like, I thought I was working for free.
So then what do you do? Because you had this trajectory kind of laid out for you and you seized every opportunity that came your way, whether you knew it was an opportunity or not.
Yeah.
And what would you do? Because I'm sure it wasn't always easy, right? Like, did you get told no? Did you, obviously, you didn't see anyone that looked like you. And as human beings, our natural inclination is to be around people that look like us. It's a survival instinct.
Yeah.
How would you get through that? Because you still very much are in a space that doesn't represent us.
Yeah, yeah. Like I just got back from London Fashion Week. I was in New York. I've done Paris. But I think the great thing is my parents have always been Christian. They put like our faith is really strong. And when I grew up learning about God, and then God sees us as one. Like I just see people's hearts, not like their color. So like I grew up in Compton with like the Black community, Latino community. There was a little bit of white, a little bit Asian, but very little. Like more
Yeah.
like Eminem, Slim Shady. I'm just kidding. No. But it was like it was not. I felt like I was like I never. I don't know. Like my brothers and I like never grew up thinking like, oh man, we're like just Latino. It was weird. Like we grew up like just loving things and loving God, and like we just my parents let us be really open.
That's
And
cool.
then we grew up in Downey after. So Downey back then was more on the white side. So
Hmm.
then we had that. We went from Compton to Downey. Now it's more Latino. That's where my business is. And so we grew up just like doing like with a diverse group of people, but we never saw people for color
Right.
until I went to New York Fashion Week. Like I was in these spaces where I was like the only Hispanic, but I never thought it was anything. Wow, like I'm like breaking,
Sure,
a
you were just
stereotype.
there. You were doing
I
your
was just,
thing.
yeah, I was having a good time, and I just like love people, so I was just like enjoying myself and people's company. And then I remember when to New York Fashion Week, I had an assistant. Her name's Kimberly, and she went with me, and she was like, "Johanna, did you see how everyone looked at us?" And we were like the grand finale closing show, like the stars of the show, right? And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I remember it was my cousin Saul, and they're like, "Yeah, we're like the only Latinos here." And we walked in, people were staring at us, but she's like new to the game, so like I was just like happy to talk to the owner and like be
Yeah.
with like my friends. Like I didn't even look at that, but it was weird because it took off like a lens off my eyes, and I
Really?
kind of felt like discouraged a little bit because she felt like they looked down on us, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never noticed that. So
Wow.
sometimes like it's the way you see the world that's gonna make you feel a certain way, because
That's right.
before she didn't show me that, I walked in there like, hello world,
Hello.
like I'm here. But when she told me that, I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
like I was like made me feel a little like, oh my gosh, like that's so mean. And but then after like I got over it, I was like, you know what, I'm closing the show. Like God's put me here because I deserve to be here, and I'm here to put on a show. Like it's not about race. It's about
Yeah.
like making beautiful things and for people to love the show, you know? But like you have to like snap out of it. But then I know I'm like, I have to say something else. I was in Beverly Hills for a while. I had my business there for a
Yeah, I
while.
remember.
And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just knew I wanted my business to be there because it's like luxury. Like everything I do is like top everything. I always travel the world to find the best fabrics. Like everything I do deserves to be in a luxury space. So God opened that door for me to be there. But when I got there, I was like the only Latina literally that owns a business except Carla Herrera, but she's already public, so she doesn't even own it. It's like owned by a
Yeah.
huge company. So like I was like, oh my goodness, like this is nuts. And I felt again like, whoa, like I don't know what I'm like, this is intense. And I remember going to the restaurants and like being around that space, and all the workers were Latino and all the faces are not,
Yep.
which I love like all the communities, but just know like for me it's just like to Hispanic community, I'm like, come on guys, like we could own these things. Like we don't always have to like, yeah, work and get experience, but you could own your own business too, because the cooks, the people in the hotels, like they're all Hispanic, you know, like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I literally felt like Martin Luther King in Beverly Hills as a Latina. Like all the LA people were Latino, and I would talk to them in Spanish because I love speaking in Spanish. I'm not even that good, but I don't know why. My Spanish comes out, especially when I see older people that speak Spanish. And I just felt like, oh my goodness, like, wow, like my God called me here to do like something bigger than that.
Yeah.
And then I remember, and then I was published on the Beverly Hills newspaper on the cover as the first Latina since
Oh,
1965. And they called me the fashion phenomenon Beverly Hills. So, but it was so hard. Like it's been hard. It sounds like it's been easy, like easy and fun, but it's so hard. Like I work a lot. I never stop. Like right now my hair is crazy because I just got from London and I have a baby. And but I just feel like I always do things with so much passion, and I just can't be looking to the sides. Like I have to look at where the goal is and the purpose is, because if I look to the sides and care about people's opinion, I will get stuck.
Distraction. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I love that. So fast forward to today, so you're based in Downey, you're headquartered in Downey, California,
Yeah.
and you have an online presence. And
Yeah,
how do
thank God.
people, I want to ask, because I know e-commerce is like just such a thing, but how did negatively or positively did the COVID situation impact, good or bad, your business? And because that nobody expected that for any business really.
Yeah.
How did you navigate it, and what came of that for you?
Oh my goodness. So that was like the hardest, I hope I don't cry. That was like the hardest time in my life, like ever. So my dad died in COVID.
Yeah.
And it was so hard. Like I wish if I could go. I mean, I know that God does everything for a reason, and like everyone has their time that when they're gonna go to heaven, you know? So like I respect that, but it's just so hard because I had my business, I had my two stores, Beverly Hills and Downey. And there was a lot going on. There was like protests and there was like civil unrest. It was bad, remember?
Yeah.
And we had to like lock up the stores and like board them and we took everything out of our stores, and we put them in my house just because we have wedding dresses and we have valuable gowns that these mean a lot to people. Like for me to, we thought maybe it wouldn't last so long. So what if they like everything opens again and then their dresses, what if they get burned from all this protest, right? So it was just really hard. And I always like to help. Like my brother told me, like when there was like the war back then, Ford stopped making cars and they made like things for like the army and like to make weapons and stuff. So he's like, we have like our seamstresses, we have the team, we have fabrics. I remember the president said they needed masks, so we started making masks and helping the community. We would sell some, and the money would go to donating. We donated to hospitals and things like that. So we helped a lot of people. But at the same time, that made me get exposed to the virus because I was trying to help. You know, I wasn't just in my house. Like I was like trying to help and make masks and things to help people. So I got sick, and then my dad got sick, and then my whole family got sick. And then I was really bad, and then my dad unfortunately didn't. He tried to hang on as much as he could, but he passed away. Like that's the thing. Like when you have your own business, like I've never gone through something like that, and we see it in the history books, and now we're gonna be in those books. And I just really now I'm so like extra. Like when they say like there's fires or there's hurricanes, like I don't move. Like I protect my family. Like before I would be like the hero. And now I have a son too, so like I'm like, wow, I can't be the hero all the time.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you have to like be the hero by protecting your family and just staying there still, you know. So it was really tough for us. It was very tough. And financially we were able to do other things, but that doesn't matter. Like when you lose your family, like finances really don't matter.
No, I know.
Like, I would have rather closed my business and got out of business than lose my dad.
Of course. And I'm sorry about that. I know it's still like I look back at COVID and I'm like, I don't even know collectively that if we've all processed the trauma we all went through.
Yeah, I think it
has
comes
its
back
own
right
story.
now. I didn't think I was gonna get. I mean, of course my dad passed, but like it comes back. Like it's in there, you know.
It's kind of crazy. Like life as we knew it shut down for years. Like And then we just kind of went back to normal.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a lot to be said for that. Okay, so you have your shop now. Talk to me about like marketing. How in the bridal space, because that seems like it's a super competitive space. Um,
Mhm.
and do you expand into like evening gowns as well, or you're very specific to bridal dresses?
Yeah, so I started actually with evening gowns and like celebrities. I did like when I started my collection in 2011. It's now 15 years. I
Wow.
did it. So I was designing for Seven Jeans for a long time, like denim and stuff and sportswear. And then I was doing my brand for fun. And I was just doing it for fun. Like I was not making money. I was just like using when I worked with my other job and invested in being creative because my family taught me how to make gowns and stuff. So like this was like an art, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
if you paint, like I make dresses, you know.
Yeah.
So I was just having a really good time. And then we made a nonprofit called Latinos con Corazon at the time. Do you remember that? Latinos con Corazon. It
I
was
think so.
a
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah.
And we brought Latinos into a space because we didn't see Latino designers doing Fashion Week. So we brought a bunch of Latino designers, artists, and musicians. And then we helped Mexico first to help like a nonprofit shelter. I mean, a domestic violence shelter. And then we raised funds to help El Salvador. But when we helped El Salvador, there was no Salvadoran designers I could find. And my friends are mostly like my friends. The whole point of Latinos con Corazon was also to bring Latinos together
Yeah.
because we grew up seeing Latinos divided, like Salvadorans hanging out with Mexicans, but like the older people, the younger people were different. Bless you. And it was just like I just felt like we wanted to bring people together. Like my best friends are mainly Mexican at the time, that the girls that we were doing the show with,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Joanna, you should start your own brand." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like I don't think so," because at the time I was designing licenses also for Hannah Montana, Jonas
Wow.
Brothers, Taylor Swift, when she had curly hair. I did like their merch for like all the department stores with the
Wow.
big company, and I was like, I can't go out there and like show their stuff. Like I'll get sued because I'm like a ghost designer, you know. They're like, so start your own brand. So I started my own brand, and it was so crazy. Like when I started, I launched it, and then Christian Chavez was in town, and he wanted support. And then I did RBD's music videos, Christian Chavez with
Oh
Anaí,
my
and
gosh.
then Paulina Rubio found me, and I did all her tour, and then Lucero found me, and then Gloria Trevi, and then they were fighting for me.
Oh my
Not
gosh.
literally, but they were just like, if you're working for her, you can't do me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. So it was just really cool. And then now I work with like the top A-listers. Like I just had in Fashion Week last year, Barbara de Regil, which I love her. No, it was this year. No, it was in March last year. And I love her because she's like a mom and like a super fit queen.
Yeah.
And I work with Alejandra Espinosa a lot. Like you just saw her on the show previously. I was also in the show doing like Miss Universe Latina on Miss Universe on Telemundo.
Wow.
I did like evening gowns and wedding dresses. So I started with evening wear, and then and like really stuff that like just like celebrities would wear because it's very like a woman who's not afraid to shine, you know. And that's our collection. It's like for a woman who's not
Yeah,
afraid
your
to
stuff
shine.
is stunning.
Because if you're afraid to shine, like I'm not for you.
No,
You know
it's
what I mean?
stunning.
You need
It's
to be able
stunning.
to be bold and not be afraid to be seen, you know.
Yeah.
And then when Bridal started, it's a crazy story. So in that time, I was with someone for 9 years, and they never asked me to marry them. And I didn't want to ask them. I didn't want to tell them to marry me because I wanted to be chosen. I don't want to tell someone
Wow.
what to do because in my life, you know, you're a boss too. Like we don't. I don't want to tell people what to do. Like especially my personal life. Like
Oh my
that's the
gosh.
only place that I like. I'm like, oh, you know, like I don't need to be a boss. Like I need to be a wife and like happy and a mom now. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So at the time, this guy didn't ask me to marry him, so I decided like, and it also like our religions weren't too different, but I felt like my love for God was really intense, and I just
Yeah.
didn't want to have someone be dragged into that. Like I
Yeah.
want them to love being part of that on their own. And this person was like actually a really good person, but it wasn't like aligned together. And the worst part is I broke up with him, and he didn't do nothing wrong at the time, so like
That's
it was
hard.
just like something that I felt in my heart that I
Yeah,
needed to
yeah,
do,
yeah.
right?
Good for you.
So yeah, it was really difficult though. I was crying like he dumped me. It was really weird.
Oh, of course.
So yeah, so during that time, and then he dumped me back and dumped me, you know the whole thing. So, but then in that time, my friends started getting married. I was like around 27 years old, and then they're asking me to make their dresses, and they couldn't find dresses, and like the managers for pop stars, like Gloria Trevi's manager was like, "Oh, my brother's getting married. His wife can't find a dress. Can you make her one?" And I was making these beautiful dresses while I was crying and praying for their dresses because I was like, God, like just because it didn't work out for me doesn't mean it's not going to work out for them. And
That's
just bless them so
wonderful.
they never feel this kind of pain because I've never felt like a breakup pain. Like it was really bad. Like I was like, whoa, like this is
Yeah.
like you need God to heal from this, you know?
Wow.
And so, you know, I did break up with him, but it's just like
It's hard.
deciding to move to something new, right?
Absolutely.
So in my hardest point, my saddest point, I made wedding dresses, and I forgot that my heart was broken. I didn't forget, but it healed by making other people happy. And then since then, Bridal has been like the biggest business. People flying from everywhere to see me getting their dresses, and like literally like it's like the number one. Like I don't feel like Bridal's competitive for me. I feel like it's just natural. Like I know GLAUDI stands for it's different. Like I'm proud. Like I'm not like I know when I walk into a room with my bridal, it's like bam. Like I'm not. And I know that it's special because women come from everywhere. They save up. They say, okay, when I get married, it's gonna be a GLAUDI dress, and like they come. So it's just so beautiful. I also do quince dresses. Thank you. I also do quince dresses, and for prom, any special occasion. Like my collection is to celebrate the happiest moments in your life, and I'm a really happy person for most of the time. So like it's just really nice.
So
And
people
one last
can.
thing, like
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry, one last thing. So in 2020, I forgot to mention, like when my dad passed away, I started making the men's collection, and I did it inspired by him, like because his middle name is Reynaldo, and they called him Rey,
Mm,
and I felt like when I lost my dad, I was like, whoa, like men are so important and valuable. Like we need
yes.
to help them too,
Yes.
like because it used to be too girl power because I grew up with brothers and my dad like loving it too much. And I was like, oh my gosh, my dad went to heaven. I was like, whoa, like these guys are really important. Like, I don't know. Like, I remember, like, they just give you, like, they help you with your car issues. They help you
Yeah.
with the things. They support you without. See, my dad was so good at being a dad that I didn't notice how much he did for me until he
Of
was gone.
course. Of course.
So I created the men's collection, and now we do tuxedos for grooms, for men
So
in
you still do the
business.
men's
And then,
collection.
yeah, and I just worked with Mario Lopez and Oscar de la Hoya and his boxers, the Vargas brothers, the boxers. So we do a lot of men's too, and a lot of grooms. And it's so interesting because the guys, like right now, I just finished doing a tux for a guy who's 6'9". Another one is like a little bit bigger and tall. So like guys have the same like body things like women. Like we come all in
Sure.
shapes and different
Yeah,
sizes.
yeah.
So it's so nice to be able to make something that fits them perfect. Yeah.
Well, I am just so incredibly proud of you. Like you're just such a perfect example of staying the path. You stayed true to what spoke to you, right? Like I know it is work and it's a lot of work to be a business owner. People don't see that part of it, but I feel and I can hear the passion in your voice. Like you're truly doing something that you love, and more importantly, it makes people happy to be dressed up, to feel beautiful, to look beautiful, man or woman. And so I just
Yeah.
like I applaud that because there's so many people that get in a job and it's just a 9 to 5, and it's just like they're getting through it, and it's like people need to see examples like you where there is possibility. It's absolutely around you. Like lean into what speaks to you, right? And it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also in the Bible it says like do everything with excellence or just don't do it at all. I don't think the at all part is in there. I added that, but it said do everything in excellence. I think like to be really grateful is so important. Like even like back then, I remember when I was younger, like in my 16, 17 era, I would like work at the swap meet selling men's clothes with my dad, and I
So
was so
cool.
excited and so passionate about setting up the booth and making it cute.
That's
And then when I
amazing.
worked at Express and retail, I did the same. And then wherever I was, like I was always getting promoted. And I was like, I remember when I lost my first job, actually, I was laid off and I cried like if someone got shot. And I was like, you should have a class of like what to do when you get laid off. And it
Yeah.
was because I was really young. And then he partnered up with another guy and he felt that I was too young for the position. And I just cried like I was dying. It was bad. And then after I went, I saw in the newspaper back then you would find jobs at the newspaper.
Yeah.
And I found a designer job for that company that did the licensing for all the celebrities. And I went for an assistant job. And I was like, and I went to the interview with Shauna, who's now like my mentor, and she's like, she was my old boss. And she was like, I was like, yeah. She's like, why are you going for an assistant job? You're a designer. I was like, no, I didn't learn from anyone. I just got the job quick. And I want to be as an assistant so I could learn from someone because I didn't learn from any designers. Like, this is just
Wow.
like a job that I got. And she was like, no, she gave me a project. And she's like, no, you're not an assistant. Like, I'll start you as an associate, but you can't start
Good
an
for
assistant. And I
her.
really wanted an assistant. Can you believe that? Like,
I
I'm so
get
dumb.
it. Yeah, no, I
So
get it.
then,
But good for her for
so then
seeing your talent.
yeah, and then after I was there for like a month or so, and she promoted me as a designer. So like I was never like I was always trying to like sometimes you're trying to dim your own light because you don't believe in
Of
yourself, and you have to
course,
let
of
people like
course.
put you up. If like someone like gives you an opportunity, take it. Like don't be
Absolutely.
afraid because that'll open doors for other things.
Joanna, I'm so thankful that you took the time. I know you're just coming back from Fashion Week and all the really cool things we normal people read about. And I wish you continued success. And I invite everyone, I'm going to include how you can connect with Johana and look at these beautiful bridal collection, the man's collection, all of the collections, and support her business, buy from her. Like, this is how it works, and continue to spread this incredible story of empowerment and literally creating the life that she wants. So, Johana, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Gina.
And we're going to get together now.
What is it?
We're going to get together now in person.
Yeah, and I need to make you a suit for all your photo shoots for your law firm. Yeah, I make them custom. Yeah, Gina. And then we make you gowns for the red carpet.
Fine,
You guys,
fine.
I'm sitting in here, putting Gina on the spot.
Fine, in, yes. You got a deal.
But I'll see you. And everyone, thank you so much for support, because honestly, like, I wouldn't be here with all the support of the Latinos. Like, we're so many, and all the minorities and everyone, because I'm also a Hutton, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I have a very mixed family.
Same.
And it's so great to know that we can make a difference by supporting each other. And now there's Latino designers. Before we didn't have that, so
It's
there needs to be
beautiful.
many more of Latinos out there showing their talent.
Absolutely, my friend. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much for your time.